Space, the final frontier.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first ever First Eps Retro Rewind. We're doing something a little different tonight. We're taking a trip back to 1987, and we watched the first episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, and we're going to talk all about it. My name's Eric.
I'm Keith.
And this is First Eps. Engage!
So
all right, Keith, stop creeping on the ladies working out back there.
I mean, this was a classic scene. Any Trekkie knows this scene when they worked out together. You know, very few scenes were these ladies together, but this was one of the ones that I thought we need to really up the sexuality for the crew.
Sure, yeah. And you and I have those outfits. Remember when it was our Halloween?
I do. I was Deanna, I was Beverly.
Exactly. Yep. So yeah, we watched episode 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation. From I didn't realize it was 34 years old. From September of 1987 is when it aired. You and I are both. I mean, you're a huge Star Trek fan. I enjoyed it casually. You know, growing up, when I would get home from school, I would put it on, watch it with my dad from like 4 to 5 on USA Network.
Yeah.
But we thought, you know, there was really nothing that we wanted to check out and that was new. So we're like, let's do something different, see how it holds up, and see if it still, captures our heart the way that it did initially
when we were youths.
Yeah. Now, when this first aired, I didn't watch it. I was 6, so
So I think I was 8, and I didn't see this episode, but I do remember watching this with my dad too. And there's an episode, maybe the second or the third one, where there's these weird bugs that crawl into people, and it terrified me because I did not expect that, and my dad didn't either because he's like, oh, I guess it's a little scarier than I thought.
Yep. Yeah, I get that.
I loved it ever since. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's do a quick rundown of the show. This show, the episode is called Encounter at Farpoint, and it was a 2-hour pilot that was created.
It's pretty much a movie, really. I mean, it felt like a movie. I did a little research. So I read that Paramount was trying to start their own network, basically, and this was going to be the flagship, a Star Trek series. This was right after Star Wars was huge, and Star Trek the show was on. So they're like, let's make this new series. And it was initially going to be Star Trek Phase 2, which was going to be called, but that ended up becoming Star Trek the Motion Picture. Mm-hmm.
And that, became a whole thing of its own.
Yeah, showing
that it did have legs to have a whole series, because not many people thought this would take off. The entire cast, after the pilot aired, or after they recorded it, were like, "This is not gonna work."
I remember reading about that too. They did not think it was going to last for more than a season at the most.
Yeah, so it's very interesting. And like looking at it, I could see why they thought that. It was cheesy, but it was Star Trek. Like,
I mean. These are I believe Gene Roddenberry was one of the first, was actual hands-on producer at this point in time. So it had that same quality that the original Star Trek had.
Yeah. And so many of the decisions were his. Yeah.
Yes. Which made it fun, but definitely has a different hand than the series evolved into later on. And so you can kind of see the transition, and watching this was interesting because I remember most of the later episodes more. So watching this again, I was like, oh yeah. Some of the outfits, some of the way they talked to each other was much more, the ways they looked at the camera, much more reminiscent of the first Star Trek, which is a little more, I don't want to say campy, but just a little more
it was hokey. It was a little you could say it because it was
lovable, but it wasn't as like Star Wars where you're like,
yes, it wasn't super like dramatic, and like it was definitely like cheesy, like But it was definitely
overacting,
enjoyable. And I don't think I'd ever seen the first one. Like I've watched.
Really? Okay.
Like none of it seemed familiar to me, other than Q. But he shows up,
Oh yeah.
Other times, So let's get into it. Let's do a quick rundown. Immediately you got the ship intro that we all know and love, the brass orchestra.
Yes.
This one was a little like scaled down in that it was just like the same scene of the ship flying back and forth, and it would like reveal the next cast member. It was like pretty shitty, but you still got the cool
the music is epic.
Well, the music, and then Picard's intro, space, the final frontier. Yeah. So, and that was the same as that stayed the same throughout the entire 7 seasons.
And I remember one of the things I found really cool about that one was that they changed it up too to show how much advanced we were, to say no one had gone before.
Yeah, no one instead of no man. Yeah, I thought that was great. And that goes hand in hand with like at one point in the show, we see like a man wearing like a dress. Did you see that?
Like I did, and I was going to point it out to you too. Yes. That equal opportunity miniskirts for males and
I loved it. He was so happy too.
You're going to show that, right? For people.
I have to. I'll hunt it down because he was just like just casual. He was wearing the same outfit that Deanna Troi wears, basically.
No knee-high boots. So for him, I think he had more sensible lower shoes. But
exactly,
those legs were in full effect.
And I feel like he could have really. I think the outfit was missing the boots. I think it would have been better if he had like some high boots going on.
Yeah.
But anyways,
in the future, if miniskirt's good enough for guys, then how come we can't have knee-high boots too? Right?
Exactly. I mean, where do we draw the line?
Yeah, exactly.
So immediately we get an introduction from Captain Picard, Jean-Luc Picard, played by Patrick Stewart. He's doing a narration with the captain's log thing, and
sets that up so we know. Okay, we're doing that. Great.
And that was something that was in the original series too, right? Mm-hmm. Captain Kirk would do that all the time, so that was like a holdover from that. It still worked. It's a great way to set up his feelings and stuff. Brand new to the ship, the Enterprise or whatever.
Yep, skeleton crew. I think at this point are a small crew. Now everybody's assembled, so they got about half the crew.
Yeah, and then he gets into the elevator that's just like this shitty pulley system that just takes him down a level.
Yes. It's like this is the top of the line spaceship. It's the flagship, and then they show him literally on what even is? I can't even describe what it would be. It's literally a it's a platform that just goes up and down.
It's something that like window washers use, whatever.
Yes. Window washers. It's kind of askew at the end. It's kind of going a little sideways.
So I thought that was funny. It was like, we
showed that twice too, because I really wanted to make sure that we saw that as being important.
Yeah, many times. Well, because then there was also I think that was just to get like in that area, because then there was also like another elevator that
there's a turbo lift too.
That's turbo lift. Yes, that's the one I was talking about. The turbo lift.
That's the official one. Yeah, this one I think is just in engineering to get up to like the top of the warp core or something, and he was supposed to be doing a ship. What's it called? A tour of the ship before I got off the ground or off the station, or whatever. So he was, he was a touring engineering.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense, because I was like, why is there this thing that's the turbo lift, and then this shitty little
the turbo lift does not go in engineering. Maybe the warp core has something to do with it. We need maybe the old-fashioned engineering. I'm sure fans let us know. I don't know that much about that part of it.
Yeah. So I do know from reading more about the show that a lot of what we saw was filler, because Paramount wanted a 2-hour premiere. They absolutely had to have the 2-hour thing. So like they just added a bunch of shit in extra, including one of the scenes coming up where they did the saucer separation for like 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That was like one thing that they added. They're like, all right, let's just flesh this out. And like
it was manual reconnect.
It's like, it was cool. We got to see like that it could happen, but like there was no reason really for it to happen, right? Like, what were they doing? They were
we want to get into that now. The thought was that
let's go back in and we'll get into it. So right off the bat, we get introduced to Q.
Yes. Yep.
Dressed like a weird swashbuckler.
Yeah, like William Shakespeare.
Yeah, and then he introduces himself to Captain Picard, and he says that they have to pay for the crimes that humanity has done. just as a human that they have to pay for murders and all this shit that humanity has done. And actually, I don't know if does that happen right away. I don't know.
I think he says that's why they're moving to a new era or something, and they need to make sure that they're okay to do this. So he needs to judge them now.
Yes,
they've done grievous things, something along that line.
Yeah, so he wraps him in this shittiest force field thing ever. It was like made on an Atari, like it was like a chain link thing, and then they escape, and that's why the saucer separation happens.
Can we back up for a second? I forgot one of my favorite scenes very early on is when right before that happened, right before Q gets on board, we see Deanna in all of her powers. Remember, she has big hair now, just up, just voluminous,
huge hair,
micro mini, the boots. She's sitting in the chair, and all of a sudden she's a dire warning. Oh my gosh, Captain, something's wrong. And the captain's like, what? And then warning goes off. Q comes on board, and now 5 minutes after Q comes on board, Tasha Yar, the ship's security officer, finally decides to do something, which I thought was a little weird.
Yes, and it's funny that you mentioned those two because I also did find out that they were both initially cast as each other's character.
Interesting. Yeah. I did not know that.
Yeah, Marina Sirtis was cast as Masha Hernandez was Tasha Yar's initial name, and she was supposed to be like cast as a Hispanic security person.
Okay.
And then they had what's her name? Denise Crosby is Tasha Yar, the actress. And she was playing Deanna Troi at the time. And then they swapped them. And I think that was probably the best decision they made on the entire series.
Absolutely.
I
can't see either one of them doing the other side.
No, right? No, not at all. Like, especially like looking back on it. I mean, even just, no, I never liked Tasha Yar in general. I thought she was a terrible security person, but still, like, I think she'd also be a terrible counselor.
I mean, I actually do remember also the episode where Tasha Yar dies, spoiler alert. And I remember that one clearly as a kid too. And I remember watching the previews for it with my father. And it was like, and on this episode, one of the main cast does not make it back. And it showed like Deanna, Tasha, Riker, and like it was like all their faces like, oh. I'm like, oh my God.
Nobody's safe.
I was really scared it was going to happen.
Yeah. So I thought that was super interesting. But so then that happens. They escape. They do the saucer separation. We see basically that means that I'll show a picture of the Enterprise. The whole top part comes off, and for I don't know what reason. I guess they were they wanted to save the split people off to like.
That was it. I think it's kind of like one of those ones where it's almost like you go that way, I go this way, so they can follow one of us. So
that's what I thought. So they finally catch up to the small crew that's driving which piece? I don't know. It doesn't matter. And it's Picard.
The saucer section.
And
the Battle Bridge. I thought that was a great name.
Oh, the Battle Bridge. I did like that. Yeah. So they get captured. Who was captured? Who was taken down to the planet? Tasha Yar.
So Tasha Yar.
Picard.
Picard. Data. How can we forget?
Oh, and Data. Yes. Yeah. So they get taken down to this weird I don't know. It's futuristic, but also like Renaissance England or medieval England style. Yeah, they said that it was during the post-atomic horror is what it was set at. Okay. So like must have been something that happened from a war and like all these people. So it's set to mimic that. And it's this trial where Q is the judge, the jury, and the fashionista.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When he comes swooping in that Professor X thing with the Professor X wheelchair with like the two lion heads on it with the regalia on, he's wearing like a Stanford University graduation robe, right? He's got that. He comes swooping on in Professor X's wheelchair. and you're like, oh, this guy is here and he is badass. And I knew they were in for like a trial.
Yeah, and but he doesn't like seem badass, but he's just like someone who's just like, I mean, I guess he's super powerful and like, but he just like, he's just an annoying dude, like a Weasley dude, like
a Loki kind of guy. That's what I feel like he's kind of like. Yeah,
he's very powerful and he's definitely like a trickster, but like, yeah, you instantly hate him. He's like a very dislikable, so perfectly cast because like just looking at that guy's face. Not great, but yeah. So when we get there, they have to like. He's basically saying you're guilty. That's all there is to it.
Yep.
Picard starts arguing. Bam! Freezes Tasha Yar. She's dead.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I love that part too. It was like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the fire extinguishers went off in Yar's face, and she was just frozen, instantly with nitrogen or something like that.
Yeah,
liquid nitrogen. Bam. Gone.
It was right after her. She had a very great speech about how like you can't do this and stuff like that, and then bam.
People saved my life when I was in prison on Talos 5.
Yeah,
something about that. Yeah.
So
and then
Deanna,
I'm sorry. What's her name? Deanna.
She freaks out. Best acting in the entire show. She loses her mind, and then
she loses her mind.
It was so weird, and the whole time there's this crowd, and everybody's just laughing, and then they have these guards. They're supposed to mimic these guards that were like addicted to drugs, and they would just shoot people like from years past.
Gun arms or something.
Yes, the whole thing was super fucked up. Like it was such a weird, and I'm like, this is the pilot. This is what they present to people, like to be like, yeah, pick up our show because it was so strange. This part,
bizarre.
It was very bizarre, and then so. Picard, he says, let's do a test. Instead of saying we're guilty, let's test the human race where we are now. And the whole time, the brass orchestra is going crazy. And like, we know what's going to happen. People are laughing. Like, it really hurt my brain, this whole part. But then Q's like, let's do it. Let's do a test. They get transported back to their ship and basically on their journey to where they were initially starting to go, Farpoint to a new star base that was created supposedly for them by some weird dude.
The native people who live in the land or whoever they are, right? I forgot what group are they from? There's a name, I can't remember them now. But yeah, the people who are on the planet have created a station, right? Pretty much for the Federation.
Yes.
Said, yeah, come join with us, become our allies, and you can have this whole wonderful, advanced piece of life for your Federation.
Yeah. So and then we meet. So like you said, it was a skeleton crew. Now we're starting to meet some more of the people that they're picking up. We meet Commander Riker.
Yep, and they're all on the planet now on the new star station.
On the planet. Yep. And he's looking baby face. That big old butt chin sticking out, just like. Yeah,
I can't really see mine now, but yeah.
This is why you guys grow beards, to hide your butt chins. And then we run into Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Oh my gosh! And what's his name? Right next to her too. And everyone's favorite.
And Wesley.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Who was
Wheaton?
Roddenberry initially wanted a 15-year-old girl cast named Leslie. I found that out as well.
Leslie.
And they switched it up to make it a boy for there would be more opportunities for future storytelling with him as a man. So not as forward thinking as Star Trek would lead us to believe, but
that's a little weird. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we meet them.
Took it up and well, I mean, what did he do that a woman couldn't do? Like engineering?
Nothing.
Ridiculous.
He's the worst.
Anyway, yeah.
Wesley Crusher is the worst.
I mean, his sweaters were pretty cool, though. I've got to say.
And he did. I swear you had that sweater that he was wearing in the episode. I know you do. I think you wore it. Yeah. Yeah. So then they go on the ship, and I thought this was great. So Riker, he gets the rundown, and they have like a highlight reel video package of like
the VHS tape they pop in from to watch,
and it's just like all the shit that we just saw previously, and he's like, all right, I'm all caught up now.
Previously on Star Trek.
Yeah.
And then they watch it, and you're right, and that makes perfect sense too now with you saying they had to make up some time, because like they showed us like him watching highlights of the episode for like 3 minutes, and I'm like, why are we watching this like best greatest hits of the first half an hour of the show?
Yeah, it was so weird. And then we meet who was always one of my favorite characters, Geordie LaForge.
Yes.
And I found something out that I didn't know, that maybe you will know if it was resolved. When he's wearing that visor, it causes him pain.
You know, that's what they said in that episode too, and I didn't know that either. To be honest with you,
that's pretty baller. Then that he he's just in pain the whole time. Like, I mean,
I love this series, but I haven't done a lot of digging, obviously, behind the scenes of it. So I mean, there's a whole nother world to it. I have to
for sure. A huge world that we're not even the tip of the iceberg. I mean, I just know that you've seen the show more. But like, he even says
tons of times.
Yeah. He even says like that he won't take painkillers, whatever, because like the whole point is to have his senses sharp, so that it would affect that. And I was like, that's pretty baller, dude. And even I liked him prior to that, and like knowing that, I was like, man, he's a bad dude.
Yeah, no, he's great. He's a great character. I mean, and I really like the fact that and that's what I actually like about this episode in general, is that I feel like with all the main characters, you kind of got to see the seeds of of everything. The ship itself, you got to see the seeds of everything that would grow throughout the seasons. And I'm like, oh, they really did think of these all in the very beginning, and then they just fleshed it on out as the series went on. But go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, I was just going to say, like, looking back, knowing what it is later, and not having any knowledge of the first episode, really, like, it was all planned. Like, everything was still in place 7 years later. Like, the main points were like that solid that they didn't change much.
No, I thought that was so cool too. And each one's got their own little, like, even like from Riker being kind of like women liking him. There was the one woman when he got on the ship who was like showing him how to like find the holodeck, and she
looked at his ass
at a certain something. It's
yes.
Like, okay, so that wasn't an afterthought that he'd be the sexy one. He was always supposed to be like the sexy, powerful man.
The way they filmed him too, always like below and like really close, like looking up to make him seem like he's like this big, like handsome brute, and just like, I don't know, and the way he talks, he's very eloquent.
That's right, boys. Oh, girls.
Exactly. Boys. You could have went either way with him. Wasn't there a holodeck episode with him, like just in like a big orgy? Probably not. That might have been just like a.
There has been ones with Deanna, and Deanna's been in a lot of the sexual ones. I'm trying to remember. He's been with a lot of women. I don't remember him as an orgy one, but maybe.
Yeah, just a big male orgy. I think that was a fanfic that I read.
Beverly had an episode where she was with a lover who was like a metamorph or something, and the person had to change bodies, and then it went into a woman's body. And she's like, I don't know if I can do this. There's nothing wrong with this, but I'm just not attracted to you in this form. I liked you in the other form as that particular person, not man or woman, just that particular person. And he's like, I understand, Beverly. It was heartbreaking. That was definitely not this episode.
We see like Riker and Deanna Troi meet up, and like, so they know each other. Is that what we're alluding to? Because it doesn't really. They don't talk about it anymore during this episode, but like, it's obvious that they have a past, because they're instantly just start like staring at each other.
Yes, and actually, she did something weird too, because she talked to him telepathically too for
a
moment. And then it was a little.
That was cool.
He did that, which was cool. We don't know if he really heard her or not, because he like talks to her kind of, but then doesn't really address what. Because she says like, can you hear me, Will? Do you remember our past? Can you still listen to me telepathically or something? And then he doesn't really say anything, but he doesn't look at her, so you're not sure if like maybe he heard a whisper of it. But then later on in the same episode, she says like, I'm only an empath. I can't speak telepathically. I'm like, well, you just did it earlier in the episode.
Yeah.
So, we're still finding out about that, but regardless, yeah. And she does actually speak telepathically throughout the series to other Betazoids, just she doesn't do it to humans. Whereas other Betazoids can do it to humans.
Gotcha. So she doesn't. She only senses emotions and stuff. She never really speaks to others.
She can't really read minds and stuff like that, unless but she can read. If people have a telepathic mind, then she can read them and talk with them that way, because she does it with her mom. But like, She couldn't do it to you or I. She could just read our emotions. Yeah.
So then we see another thing that I found out was added later to add to lengthen it. We see someone walking. It's a super old dude, and they call him Admiral.
Oh,
you know who that was?
Was that Gene Roddenberry? Who was it?
No, so that was DeForest Kelley from the original series. He played Bones.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow.
So
okay,
it was like a throwback,
old, right? He wasn't really that old.
No, he was like, it was terrible makeup. It was like he looked like he just like he had cellophane on his face or something.
Yeah. So I'm like, he looked weird. Okay, because he didn't look like a real person.
Because I'm like, there's a point they're showing us this. It has to be something. And I looked it up and like, yeah, it was him. But like, it was like 5 minutes of like the thing like Jordy like walking him through, or Data or something walking him.
Data was like, it could be easier. And he's like, you think I'm too old to walk? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Where does it even come from?
Yeah, exactly. And then so then we see another one of my favorite parts. Picard gets infuriated that there's a child on the bridge. Like, dude loses his shit because Beverly Crusher brought Wesley onto the bridge or whatever.
And that's another one that I thought was really funny because I forgot about that. And they do play that up throughout the series that he does not like kids. He doesn't know how to work with them. And they make him very uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh my God, they even thought of that in the first episode to make this as like his fatal flaw. And of course, Will Wheaton is the one who like drives him to distraction. I loved it. So of course, this is amazing.
Isn't there like scenes with him saying like, shut up, Wesley, or something like that? Like famously.
Bridge, Wesley or something. Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. And then, so it leads me to another fact that I found. So initially, when they were casting for Captain Picard, they wanted a French person named Julien Picard. And they wanted him to be French and that he would lapse into a French accent when he became emotional. I thought that was funny. And they were very much against Picard playing or Patrick Stewart playing Jean-Luc Picard. And initially he was going to play Data.
Oh my God. Wow. Right? This is amazing.
Yeah. So then they're like, all right, they couldn't find anybody they wanted to play Picard. So they put him back into the role, which, I mean, can you imagine it without him?
No. Like he's like the heart of the whole show.
100%. Yeah. So I thought that was funny, but it did show that like, he does get emotion, like very like erratically, like angry.
I thought that was really funny. It was like, can I trust you, number one? Now remember, you need to protect me from kids. I'm like, really? This is the number one priority is children? Like, that's what you're going to tell him right away? Yeah. That was a little odd, but, endearing. We were in,
Yeah, well, then he warms up and he finds out that it's like Beverly's kid, which, like, there was, like, a weird thing there where, like, are we supposed to think that, like, he's Captain Picard's son? Like, it was, like, kind of a weird illusion to that, but, like, turns out that he was, like, I don't know. He like delivered Wesley's father's body or whatever, and was friends.
Yeah, like war buddies.
Yeah.
And so they were. I believe we see later on too that he used to like pal around them at the academy. And then and so I think he does know Beverly from back in the day too.
Yeah. So they were, and that's when he like found out that it was her kid. So he was like, "Oh, come sit in the chair.
Oh, that's good.
Touch buttons." Yeah. And then right then.
That was a great part too.
A giant ship appears in front of them.
Yes. Get the hell off my bridge, Wesley.
Yeah. Then he got super mad at him again. Get the hell out of here. It was so funny.
And then I think Deanna's like, so much fear, anger.
Oh my God. She had some great turns there. Like, just like, what is wrong? Like, people have been like institutionalized for it, like these exact same things as she does. Like, maybe we should be thinking that they're empaths instead of, approaching it differently. Mm-hmm. They're not crazy. They're just
like Troi.
Empaths. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was funny. Like I wrote a page of notes and I guess this is the point of the series or the show that I stopped maybe putting as many notes. Cause then I just have, something. I have a star next to giant ship. I don't know why. But yeah, and then we meet the Grobbler Zorn, which this character was. So he was the guy down on the planet, and he had supposedly he built the ship basically. So they go down and they try to get some information out of him about what this big ship is. Oh, because the giant ship is firing missiles.
Opens up exactly
at the planet.
Scans the Enterprise, ignores them, starts attacking not the colonists, the original settlements, not the newly constructed settlement, that not the Farpoint, but the area around it where the people who created Farpoint live.
Yeah, just these old like huts, mud huts,
just blown up. Adobe things or something. Yeah.
So
Adobe, whatever. Yeah.
Some Adobe Photoshop buildings. So yeah, we're down there, and he gets like taken away, just screaming. Like this was his big role too, and he fucking blew it. He was just like, "Yellow," and I'm just like, oh, these acting.
He's abducted somehow. He's
abducted. Bad, yeah.
And so then the crew that's on the ground who went to try to find him and see what was going on decides that they have to go and try to figure out what's going on their own. So then they go down to these caves, right? And they start to investigate. It's Will Riker, it's Deanna, I think it's Data and Geordi. Yep. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. And all of them kind of have their parts in that too. I think Geordi is kind of using his visor to like see things that they can't really see, like where the wall is like weaker or something. And then Deanna's, she can't really open up too much because it's too painful for her.
Yeah.
Riker is like, we've got to pull 4 people and save the day. And Data's just being analytical. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this was when like we're kind of getting a feeling like Deanna's like just constantly sensing emotions. And we're like, something, what's going on here? There's something that's very upset, very sad, that sort of shit. And then like, how do we come about to find out that it's a giant jellyfish?
Well,
because that's all I have written next is jellyfish? ?
At some point in time, I don't know why, but they lost communication with the ship. And and they started to figure out like we need to get out of here now. So they decided to leave and come back out to the surface where they saw it was really getting bad. So Deanna and someone else, Geordi maybe, bopped away, and then Data and number 1 decided to stay and try to see what's happening down on the planet. They got knocked out. And then I don't remember what happened then. It was really confusing at this point.
Yeah, it super was, because I literally just have question marks now. But I think it was because Deanna felt it when they were in the tunnels, couldn't really relay the information. And then
That's right. She had to break down, like lost her marbles. And she's like, I got to get out. They emergency warped her away. Geordi and her warped away. That's right. The other 2 went to see what was going on outside because they heard noises. That's when they discovered they was being bombarded, but not their tunnels, just the outside settlement. Then they got hit over the head. Then we go back up to the top. Deanna wakes up and realizes that this creature is really, really angry that's up above. Or she senses a lot of emotion from up above now, too. She senses from below despair. Now she senses when she goes to her senses, she was still anger and frustration. And then I think she finally pieces it together or something, right?
And then somehow this thing shows itself as a big jellyfish alien creature thing. And then
tendrils come down, music's playing, it swells.
Yeah. And then
Picard helps, right?
He wins the day. He wins the whole episode, the test, everything by, instead of doing any harm to any of the creatures or the people below, he sends energy down to the base that's down there, and it turns into this other jellyfish thing, which turns out that it's like this other jellyfish's like lover or something like that, because they go flying away.
One was male, one was female, because there was a pink and a blue one we found out.
Of course.
So I was really excited about that. That even these jellyfish have genders, so that was great. Yeah.
Which do jellyfish? Yeah, jellyfish have genders, right?
I actually don't think they do. I don't think jellyfish biologically have sex. I don't think they have sex. I think aren't they just like
they do hold hands with their tentacles, as we saw in Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Of course, I don't know why the species of jellyfish.
They're flying away. They just interlock their tentacles and go off with one another. So I thought that was
Deanna, I mean, Oscar-worthy moment when she's like, they're genuinely happy. They're happy.
And then the show ends like Picard's like, let's see what's out there. engage.
Oh yeah, so
and I was like, yes. It was great. He said it. He said the words, and let's see what's out there. That would get me like right there.
That down too.
Yeah,
I remember he's like, let's see what's out there.
Two were close to the screen. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, and I loved it. I was like, yeah, this would get me to like, let's see what's out there. Fantastic for sure.
I mean, and then we had 7 years of journeys with these people, and it's like, yes.
I have a question for you, and I think I've asked you about it before. Have you ever watched The Orville?
No, you know what? No, I haven't watched that. You said you really enjoyed it.
I do, and I realize now after watching this that The Orville is exactly season 1 Star Trek The Next Generation. And it does it on purpose. Like it plays it up. Every single thing was something out of this. It was like the super long breaks with just the orchestra playing, the very hokey, cheesy, like things like the jellyfish and shit like that. Like they love each other and stuff like that. But also like it really has social messaging in it as well. And I really think you would love it. You got to get past. I know you don't love Seth MacFarlane. I
mean, I think that I really couldn't enjoy it for this. What was that on?
Fox.
Is it still being made? Fox. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I never picked up on it or watched it. Yeah.
It's 100%. It's the best like Star Trek like this that has existed since this.
Okay. All right.
Because it really does just like dial in like what made this like have that heart and soul, but still be like a futuristic science fiction show. And I think you would really like it. So watch it and let me know. There's some a lot of weird stuff, which I also think is like fun because it's like shit like you would like questions you would have about like some of the things that you would see behind the scenes that they actually talk about, like, you know, like weird stuff like about the bar and stuff like that and the holodeck and like you talk about stuff like that it's just kind of like on the show, but is never like really like mentioned about like the behind the scenes or not behind the scenes, but like, you know, the asides.
Yes. Yeah. But it comes up and it's part of the conversation sometimes. I love that. Yeah.
I thought that was, I definitely think it's worth checking out because the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, this is so familiar.
Yeah.
But
that's so cool.
Yeah. So let me see. I wrote a couple more things down. They utilize sets and props from the Star Trek movies and Star Trek, the original series to make this show, which, you know, you could tell there were a lot of practical effects in it, like with the models and stuff that. They use industrial light and magic for a lot of those effects.
They definitely, you can tell their budget definitely increased as the years had gone by.
Yes. Because even in the beginning, like I got used to it after a minute, but like when they're on the bridge, there's like this terrible echo where it just sounds like they're on a stage, you know? It was like really like it was like kind of annoying at first. And then initially all the major networks turned down this pilot. And so it aired in syndication. It was broadcast on 98 independent stations and 112 network affiliates. And it was the highest rated syndicated 1 hour drama. 27 million viewers watched this first episode when it aired.
Wow.
Crazy, dude. People love space shit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and another note I have, one of the initial proposals was to have Deanna Troi's character have 3 breasts. I thought that was funny. A little like Total Recall. I still remember that 3-breasted woman. Her workout outfit would have had to change probably.
Yeah. They have one more little divot there.
Yeah. So what was your takeaway from this being a lifelong Star Trek fan? Now, this is your favorite of the series, right? Next Generation.
Because I really find, for me, again, I think I remember this as a kid, obviously, and watched it with my dad. But also, I really thought each of the characters has their own kind of strength, and when they're together, they become really like this great kind of like a superhero team in a weird way. which I really liked. You know, they each kind of have their own powers. And I find that some of the other Star Treks, you know, they kind of do that too. But this one I felt just had the people seemed more they seem more a part of them, you know. Like I'm thinking no,
I totally agree with that. They definitely feel like a team, a well gelled team. They all contribute. Each other.
The weaknesses are balanced by the other ones.
No, I've never really watched any, like I've watched some like the most recent ones, but I never watched Voyager or Deep Space Nine. So I really Voyager's can't compare.
I really like Voyager too. And I think the characters are great. I think Janeway's an amazing captain. There's who else is on that one? Cisco. There's great people on that. 7 of 9 is fantastic. But overall, I just don't. When I think of like a cast and a group together, like this is a series that I think of them all as working perfectly together. So
yeah, I agree. And there's a reason. Like now, they are. I mean, there's a brand new series about Captain Picard. Like there's a reason that this show is still airing on syndication.
Yep.
And there's new shows being made about these characters. So let's talk about like where they all are now.
Yeah, I love this. So, where are they now?
Patrick Stewart has, like we just said, he's reprised his role as Jean-Luc Picard on the most recent series for it was CBS All Access, and now it's Paramount Plus.
Right.
But you know, he was in
Paramount. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So he, you know, he's Patrick Stewart. Like everybody knows Patrick Stewart. He was Charles Xavier, and you know, he's been in everything.
So many awesome roles.
Yeah. So William Riker, Jonathan Frakes, he became more of a behind the camera guy, directed tons of shows. Like he's directed so much shit that you have without a doubt seen something that he's directed.
That's awesome.
He did the Orville, NCIS.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah, and some of the recent like Star Trek stuff that's come out since.
Okay.
Brent Spiner, who played Data.
Yep.
You know, he was in Independence Day. We loved him in that. And then most recently, he showed up. He's reprised his role as Data on Picard, which I haven't watched. Have you watched that series?
I don't have All Access, and it's so funny you say that. Or now it's Paramount. I always feel really guilty that I haven't gotten it yet because of both this show and was it Enterprise? Discovery, Enterprise, whatever that one. Yeah,
the new one.
Yeah, I really.
That's a great show. We watched the first maybe season and a half of that, and then like for no reason, kind of got behind on it, and we're waiting to get back into it.
There's so many shows out there.
Yeah, that one's a good one, and that one's more like the movies. I would compare it more to very high action, high intensity, like really, really big budget show. So
cool,
but it's a great show, and the girl who plays the captain in that is fantastic. I don't know her name right now, but anyways, LeVar Burton, Geordie LaForge, he went on. He directed and produced the Roots remake. Not too long after that, and then he's more like into like social things. He's trying to. I don't know if he created it or is going to. He wanted to redo the Reading Rainbow show that he did and stuff like that. But he's like a big.
I loved Reading Rainbow. Woo.
Yeah,
such a great show.
Who didn't? You have someone just reading to you and just you know, just telling you you're such a sweetheart.
Butterfly.
That's what we want in life.
Guy.
Marina Sirtis, Deanna Troi, she did a cameo on the Orville.
Really?
So another reason for you to check it out. And she's going to be on a new series about a London crime thing called the Benzoins. I don't know how you say that. She's 65 now, which, you know, it's pretty crazy when you think about like how these people are like elderly now after we just watched them in this.
I know. It's like, oh, really? Okay, yeah. I remember seeing her randomly in, she showed up in a Beowulf movie that I was watching.
Really?
Yeah, like it was a newer take on Beowulf. And she was like the queen or something. Like the one when they welcomed and like, you know, I don't even know. It's Beowulf is the guy who vanquishes Grendel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he's the conquering guy. So he comes into like the kingdom that's distraught, and she's a woman like, you have no idea what's going on here.
Yep.
And I was like, wait a minute, that's Deanna Troi. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, a lot of them have done voice work for a lot of things, including other Star Trek things that aren't really inside the canon of, this. I thought it was really interesting. And a lot of them will just show up as kind of like fan service to kind of like, reference their characters that everybody has known and loved.
Yeah.
Like Michael Dorn, Worf. He does a ton of voice work, a lot of video game stuff. And most recently, he's on the animated series Invincible on Amazon Prime.
Yep. And yeah, he did come into Deep Space Nine too, for like the last several seasons. And really, I thought that show was okay. But then when he came on, I'm like, oh, this is good now. So he's great. Yeah.
And then Gates McFadden, Beverly Crusher, she's only really had small roles and stuff like Franklin and Bash and NCIS. So yeah, nothing. She didn't really, become too much post Next Generation.
I do know some things with her. Like I think that when she got pregnant, I think at the end of the first season, and I think that her and Gene Roddenberry either didn't get along very well, or there was something between the two of them, or he didn't think that she connected with the audience.
Yeah.
So that's where they brought in that Dr. Pulaski. Do you remember her? She was a real like hard-nosed doctor with blonde hair, very severe woman who was like awful.
Really?
Awful.
That's funny.
And then like the fans hated her. So then in the third season, Dr. Pulaski got the boot when the baby was a little bit older, and Gates came back again.
It's good to know.
It's interesting, yeah.
Yeah. She lasted longer than Roddenberry did on this series.
That's true. She had the last laugh. I know that just because Beverly and Deanna were two of my favorite characters on the show, so I do follow her on Instagram. I know she does a lot with community theater. So I think she's in LA now, but does a lot with like local theater there, educating people and trying to get small productions going and stuff like that too. So
that's really cool. Really cool. Yeah. And then, and she's back there just working out, just keeping it toy.
Yeah, where is she? Let me take a look at her. That's right. You go.
Yeah. Look at that outfit. A great outfit. There were some great outfits in this series. We could have a whole awards show just for this series. Best outfit. I mean, I guess this wasn't part of episode.
Not part of Farpoint. Yeah, this was a little bit. This is like 3 seasons in, so this was not invented yet. This is a newer look.
It's later, yeah. But there were some great, like Q on the throne, Q as the drug cop, Q as the swashbuckler. All nominees for best outfit of Star Trek Next Generation episode 1. Yeah.
And I always do, like, again, we talked about the mini skirts that the guys and the girls wear.
Yes.
Those are fantastic.
Yeah. Both. We'll have to put Deanna Troi and the guy in the running for best outfit.
Number 1, whoever he was.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely we'll keep this maybe for our awards show at the end of season 1 of First Eps. We'll bring this back.
I love this award show idea. I think this is a great way to just really get the creative juices flowing a little bit more and see we're really stuck with us.
And these people need to be awarded. They do this not for the paycheck, but for the recognition from us, specifically you and I.
From first-rate podcasts like First Eps.
Yeah, exactly. Top of the line shit. Where we're just gonna give you 2, maybe 3 thumbs up.
3 breasts up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was
So binge it?
Yeah, dude, I would definitely binge this, especially like, dude, I'm telling you, guys. Now, granted, I probably wouldn't watch another episode after that. 2 hours episode is like, all right, I need a little break. But like when he did like, let's see, what did he say? Let's see what's out there. I was like, let's see what's out there. Like, and especially knowing the Star Trek, like how they do their episodes, where each one is going to be a new, exciting thing.
Yep.
Like it's definitely a super bingeable show, even before binging was a thing. Like, you know, you had to wait a whole week to watch the next one. So yeah, it was great, but each one was like kind of like encapsulated in their own 1 hour thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. And I wanted to talk about that too, real quick. How awesome is this? I don't know if you saw or not, but like each season has like 24, 25, 26, 27 episodes. Like this is when TV was like TV, and you could like dig in for like almost a full year and just enjoy this and like with it. Instead of now where it's like 10 episodes a season. Like, no. We want to indulge people. Let's bring this back again.
And that's specifically why the networks wouldn't pick this up, because they wouldn't commit to 26 hours of this show. So I mean, like, now I prefer
27 because this was 2 hours long.
Yeah, I prefer the 10 episode series. As like, especially when you're going back, like to go back and watch, like there's a few shows like this that I wanted to always go back and watch, but you look at it, it's like, okay, I got to watch 10 seasons, 24 episodes a season. Like that's a large ask.
I mean, that's a big ask, but you know what? I mean, if you want to get into these worlds, you know, you got to give a little too. It's not just, you know, these people giving their heart for you.
It's true.
Yeah.
We owe them.
Exactly. I mean, think of the memories that these people have given us. 28 hours.
Yeah. And just knowing like this show
a day, but still almost
then breaks. I love that this show then breaks from that single episodic one and done thing when they like get into some of the bigger ideas that they face later in the seasons. And I love that, open it up to more longer, because a lot of shows didn't do that at the time. They weren't doing longer arcs within a season, and I thought that was really great, where it was like constantly like to be continued. There were a few that were like 3 episodes long, like when you're talking about like getting into like the Borg and like
the and all those. There's some great
that was really cool.
End of the season ones were typically to be continued too, so they left you on that cliffhanger, and you had to wait, you know.
Cue the brass orchestra.
Exactly.
But all right, what else? Anything else to add?
No, live long and prosper. I mean, no.
Exactly. Yeah, may the force be with you.
And also with you.
All right, everybody.
We just crack each other up, don't we?
The best. We're going to get like so many thumbs down on this thing on YouTube from all the Trekkers and the Warsers. I don't know what the Star Wars people are called.
The Warsers. The Wuzzles, I think we call them.
The Wuzzles, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, thank you, Trekkers. Thank you, Wuzzles, for checking out this episode of First Eps, our first ever retro rewind. Let us know what you thought, if we should do more of these. If there's a show from your past that you would like us to review, there's a lot to choose from. So it was a lot of fun, like just doing something like this and knowing kind of where it ends up, as opposed to doing the ones where we watch the first episode and just not really knowing what we're getting into. This was fun, being able to look back. But we still have our giveaway going on for one more week. We're giving away our First Eps favorites box. It's a whole box full of like some of our favorite stuff. Check out our Instagram or our Twitter for more information on that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pop Culture Playground on YouTube. And, like us, subscribe to us on all the podcast services around the world. We want everyone to watch, listen to this. And thank you so much for joining us yet again for another week of our bullshit antics. And we will see you here next week for more First Eps.
Yes. Thanks. Bye. You see her if I do this?
I can't. It just looks like you're just distracted by. It looks like you're perving out, actually, kind of. Just staring at two women like working out, and you're like, ugh.